Kevin Durant still on the Nets. Kyrie Irving still on the Nets. I thought this Brian Windhorst quote was interesting, and I'll read some of it real fast for everybody. The other negotiation that is now developing is between Durant and the Nets. That separate negotiations about what it would like for what it would look like for him to come back. That's what a big part of the discussion he had with owner Joe Tsai in London about 10 to 11 days ago. Was Joe Tsai and the Nets believe they have a really good team. They don't believe they have a good trade for Kevin Durant. They want him to consider coming back, but Durant has very clearly made it known he doesn't want to play for the Nets under the current situation with the current coach and the current GM. So here's the questions. You have to ask yourself, what is the avenue? What is the path for Kevin Durant to move forward with the Nets? Because he's been told on trade, he's been told no on firing Steve Nash, and he's been told no on firing Sean Marks. So where does he go from here? It does feel like he's kind of stuck because the Nets I don't believe they'll budge on Sean Marks, and I don't believe they'll budge on Coach Nash, and the Nets aren't budging on giving up Kevin Durant for what they don't feel like is an equal value or some sort of return that they want. So right now he's kind of in limbo where he's just kind of to the side. He's not getting what he wants, and he's just stuck there. Richard Jefferson said last week on our podcast, Bad Weather Fans, the human nature side of things, like, does that give in where Durant and the owners eventually give in and he's traded? I don't know. It feels like the Nets are really, really steadfast on not giving Kevin Durant what he wants and not making a trade. And maybe he'll just end up being stuck because there's nothing else he can do about it or retire.
Yeah, well, he said he's not retiring, which was stupid. And that, yeah, I know, and that was stupid because now he lost his leverage of the risk of retiring because, you never know with these guys, with Kyrie and Durant, they're kind of like out there. They would be like, screw it, I'll go play ball in China. Kind of, they just want to play ball. They'll play ball in Canada, they'll play ball in Brazil and then Argentina. Who cares? But they're now the Nets know they got him, and I think the Nets need to make Durant look good publicly so he doesn't come back with his tail between his legs, because Durant probably has an ego, and like everybody, we got a big ego, like we said the last episode. That's what they got, like Kanye says. And yeah, it's just, he looks like a fool, and they need to make him not look like a fool if they want to bring him back. They have to give him something, and they're not going to fire Nash and Marks. Joe Tsai already said that, so he can't look like a fool and go back on that now, even though he did look like a fool and go back on the Kyrie mandate thing. So maybe he doesn't even care. But they have to give Durant something. Like you fire Nash, but you keep Marks. Like, you got to do something to make him feel better, of like, whatever that is. You would know better than me. What is it? Hire his best friends and assistant. They've done that. You know what I mean? Like, what else is there?
Right. I think it's easier to fire Nash than it is to fire Sean Marks.
Right.
And it would actually be a much better decision as an organization to go that route. There's a lot of Net fans that would say, okay, this Steve Nash thing, self-included, didn't work. So even if it wasn't a Kevin Durant decision, getting rid of Steve Nash would be one that all Net fans would like and say, okay, I think we've made this organization better regardless of what happens with Kevin Durant. Now, firing Sean Marks, I think, would be a very much more difficult task. The guy's embedded in the franchise. He helped bring him out of the abyss and put him into relevancy and did all of that. He did that. So I think for the Nets to go ahead and just cut Sean Marks because Kevin Durant wanted is probably impossible. But the Steve Nash thing, could you come up with an idea where you're like, all right, Steve, we'll just come up with some bullshit thing. You wanted to move on, blah, blah,
health
blah.
issues. Yeah.
I don't know if it's health issues, but just something
make it up.
like,
He's got migraines. He can't coach.
I don't want to be here anymore. Like we've decided I want to move on with my career.
Mutual interest. Yeah.
Yeah. And everybody knows it's bullshit, but you figure it out. Sure.
I think Vaughn comes back or something, right?
I think Joe Tsai just doesn't want to give in.
Yeah.
And just said, hey, we'd love to have you back and we'd love to have you here, but I'm not firing my guys and you're going to have to deal with that. And I think at this point, like Kevin Durant, he can't hate Sean Marks because of his business decisions. He must just not like Sean Marks because Kevin Durant has given a lot of input on these plays, on these players and deals. Like, to me, Kevin Durant must person to person just really dislike Sean Marks.
Yeah.
Because I mean, what else can he, like, from a management? Like, if you look at this Nets roster he comes back to right now, this is the best situation he has to come back to a team that would have a starting lineup of Kyrie Irving, Ben Simmons, Kevin Durant, Nick Claxton, Joe Harris, with a bench of Seth Curry, TJ Warren, Royce O'Neal. Like, it's like a good
you
roster.
finally had a chance to build the roster around them. We got rid of Harden, got rid of Harden. It's just now you're building the back up from the BS of dropping him and getting
and he
him.
knows wherever he goes,
Yeah.
it's not. It's in Boston, maybe. Maybe if they don't give
because
up
of Tatum.
too much.
Yeah, you're not
because Tatum's there. So you pair him with Tatum, you're going to be great.
But you got to gut the team to get Durant, and it's not going to be Tatum, Brown, and Smart with Durant. It's going to be Tatum.
Right. It's going to be Tatum. It's going to
and
be
the worst Williams
Celtics
guy, not even Robert.
No,
it's Grant Williams, right?
Yeah, it's a tough spot.
Well, they said they're not trading Robert Williams, right? Didn't they say that? Or there was a report that the Celtics won't trade Robert Williams.
I did see that before, and there was also a report tonight that the Lakers had offered 2 unprotected firsts, and the Nets said no to that for Kyrie.
Well,
and I think Westbrook would be involved in that deal too.
A terrible deal.
But
I would say no to that too. Why would you want the Lakers? Oh yeah, I'm going to give LeBron Durant, and they're going to give me the
Kyrie.
Oh, for Kyrie.
For Kyrie.
But either way, like, why would I want 2 Lakers picks when I'm giving you Kyrie? Then you have Kyrie, LeBron, Anthony Davis. You know
Terrifying.
what I mean? I know Anthony Davis had an off year, but he'll be. Listen, if he's the third guy on the team. Like, what are we doing here?
No,
why would the Nets do that and get the 32nd pick in the draft or the 30th pick in the draft? Like, oh, great, thanks.
If you had to at this point, Alex, I'll ask you a question.
No.
Do you think the Nets? Okay,
that's it.
That was. Did you know my question?
No.
No, I said, do you think Durant's on the roster? Like,
no,
for real. I don't.
I don't. I think they're going to figure it out. I think he's got to go, and I think he's going to hold out. I don't think he's going to show up. I think it's going to be the situation where I think there could be a situation sort of. I keep saying this, and I'm sorry for all the regular listeners, and thank you for listening, but you're going to have to hear it again. I think it's going to be comparable to the Melo situation with the Knicks. He had the no trade clause at the end, not before. He had the no trade clause. He was trying to exercise it. And the Knicks are like, we have this trade with Oklahoma City in place. We want to trade you there. He's like, I don't want to go there. I want to go to Chicago. I want to go here. I want to go there. We're like, well, that's great, but we're not going to trade you there. We're going to trade you to Oklahoma City. And he was like, no. Well, they're like, all right, well, show up to camp, bro. And the second media day rolls around. Mel's like, oh, fuck that. He went to Oklahoma City. And then they ended up getting Mitchell Robinson, whatever. I think it's going to be something like that. There's no way. I know it's the Nets and it's a softer landing spot. We I'm not even mocking. It's different than going to a Knicks media day, but you think he's going to want to go there and show up and take pictures with the Nets jerseys on and be like, yo, Nets, let's go. Like, do all that kind of crap at media day when he just demanded a trade and demanded the GM and coach get fired and he looks like a freaking fool. Like, he's not going to show up to that.
I'll get defensive on that one part. First of all, the Knicks don't have media days, so I have no idea what that even looks like.
They don't have media days? Yeah, they do.
No, they're not allowed to.
Oh, well, the media, you know what I mean? With the promo days where they take pictures of the freaking themselves in the jerseys and the things.
Kevin Durant at media day would be the biggest New York media circus you've ever seen.
Do you think he wants that?
But no, I'm just telling you, this is not like the Nets have arrived. This is everybody.
National, worldwide story.
Hear him talk.
Yeah.
And he hasn't talked. This would be beyond anything we've seen.
Right.
Not for good reasons.
And Kyrie too.
It would be like to be like Kevin Durant at the platform. Every national media member would be there. Every local spot would be there. And to the Knicks' credit, no one would be there because they'd be boring in the good ways. I guess Donovan Mitchell you'd be interested in hearing from. But other than that, like, this would be an
but this is different than Donovan Mitchell.
Must listen. Kevin Durant speaks. It would trump anything Nick related for all the wrong. It would be the biggest story in sports. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, Durant speaks. You'd want to hear what he has to say.
But imagine if he was a Nick and that was happening. Actually, probably doesn't even matter.
I don't think
you're right. You're right. It probably doesn't matter because he's such a. It's like LeBron. It's like LeBron in Cleveland. It doesn't matter where he is. He's LeBron. I get it. I get what you're saying. You're right. But also, you're right because I was going to try to finish the Donovan Mitchell point for you, but for me, and I was thinking that while you were talking. Sorry, I'm rambling again, trying to collect my thoughts. Okay, I'm here. The Donovan Mitchell. If let's say it's traded to the Knicks, like, we're gonna want to hear from him, but it's gonna be like generic, like, this is where I always wanted to be. I grew up here. Like, okay, great. Yeah, we got the quote. You're holding the jersey, throw it on the front of the newspaper. Great.
Be fine.
Kevin Durant is like a whole different level.
Oh my
He's on
God.
Twitter. He thinks he's mocking people when he's just really making himself look like a fool now at this point. Like I don't think anybody thinks it's cute anymore what he's doing. And it's just, is he that less like is he that like what's the term? Not self-aware, or does he just not give a shit? Because he's just either delusional or he just doesn't care of how he looks on Twitter right now, mocking people and fans for being upset with him. Just shows that he's either out of touch with reality or he doesn't give a shit.
There
Which one is it?
are net fans that will defend anything he does.
Of course.
Will just defend anything he does. He's always right. The media is always wrong.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, at this point, he's definitely put himself in a position where he's taken it now, and he's put himself in a bad spot. Yeah, I mean, it's people are like interested in knowing. I saw a little Twitter back and forth exchange where Durant said something and somebody asked, like, yeah, I want to know why you don't want to be here. And somebody was like, he doesn't owe you an explanation. He doesn't owe an explanation. It's like, well, he committed for 4 years. I'm in love with the franchise. I think I'm a little interested to know why he wants to go. I think that's fair to want to have an answer for that. If he wants to not be a net, I think that's fair to know what happened. Why did you change your mind? And he doesn't have to. He doesn't have to.
But it's like, get away here, you silly fans. What the hell do I care?
This is why I'm a big proponent of the media, because you need answers. Like I'm sorry. Like if you don't have the media,
but it was Jalen Brunson's day. It was Jalen Brunson's day.
Dude, now I'm just thinking about like Kevin Durant showing up and what that circus would be like.
But
and the questions would be crazy.
Remember when his first media day with the Nets, and Nets fans, like he was injured, but he was walking.
Yeah,
and he was wearing the jersey and the uniform, and you guys were over the moon excited. Like, is this fake? Is this? And like rightfully so, it's exciting. But now you think he's going to show up and take pictures in the uniform? Like, can you imagine?
He shows up in a Celtics uniform that he bought at Modell's. And he's got the it's like a it's the Jason Tatum jersey, and he's just walking around with like the
show up in he should show up in a Texas uniform, and it's a college uniform or something.
$18 shorts from Modell's that are the Celtics,
without a haircut and just like ready to like doesn't care.
No, he said on the original Nets media day he liked Kenny Atkinson from watching YouTube clips.
Right,
well, he's full of shit.
Yeah, this is your guy, man. This is the guy.
I want him back, man. Let's run it back.
Yeah, you have no
run
choice.
It back.
I mean, honestly, but I
could trick myself into like Jaylen Brown, Ben Simmons. You got Kyrie Irving. I mean, I can do it. I can trick myself. I can play that game.